everybody. Okay, so today it's our honor to invite Miss Lin Miaoying. She's from Bingxi Elementary School in New Taipei City, and she's also one of the team members in MOE's curriculum and instruction consulting team. So today we invited her to give us a talk on text-based competency learning, and this is a very important topic for learning in Taiwan because this is our new curriculum, and her talk will be very helpful for everybody to get used to this new curriculum based on what you have been done last year, and then you can develop your own teaching based on the new curriculum. So let's welcome Miss Li Miaoying.
Hey, thank you for Kevin's introduction. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you here, and it's my honor to be invited to the topic. Uh, First of all, it's something about me. I'd like to welcome all of you to help kids in Taiwan. I am one of the members of MOE Curriculum Instruction Consulting Team. MOE means Ministry of Education in Taiwan, and also member of English Curriculum and Instruction Consulting Team of New Taipei City. And I'm currently an employer New Taipei City Dingxi Elementary School. So I'm also the head of bilingual program. And by the way, in July this year, the bilingual program at my school just won the best prize for the best team and the best program. So I'm so glad to share some of my experiences with all of you. Um, Before I jump into the topic, I'd like to say thank you for make the great decisions to be the ETA in Taiwan. I think sometimes just like the quote said, sometimes it's the smallest decisions that can change your life forever. So thanks for make the right decisions to be in Taiwan, and I think the precious and valuable experience will bring you a lot of variable memories, experience in your life, and also bring the great experience to students in Taiwan too. Okay, now for today's lesson, there are just 2 hours seminar. So I'd like to use the Pear Deck to interact with all of you. So later on, I'm going to give you a link, and please click on the session, join the link, and select enter or select a Gmail account to log in. And when you see this page, the three faces, the page, that means congratulations, you successfully joined my Pear Deck lesson. Okay, so now let's do it. So I'm going to give you the link. Let me see. Okay, so it's right there. So please go to the chat box and click on the link, and please log in with a Gmail account. Then we see the three faces. That means you successfully log in. Congratulations! So we can have a lot of opinions, or we can have some ideas spreading through each other. Okay. If you have already logged in, please give me a hand. Show me your hand on the screen. Oh, great. Now let's go to the dashboard and take a look. Okay. So I can see there are 27 of you have already logged in the lesson of my Pear Deck lesson. Congratulations. So it's a great app for me to see how well my students interact with me or learned in the lesson. All right. So if the participants who are on the who are there and you cannot log in into my Pear Deck lesson, it will be okay. Please type your responses in the chat box. That works too, right? But if you can log in, that will be the best. So now I can see there are 31 participants logging in the their Pear Deck lesson. That will be great. Okay, so today we are going to have 2 boards. The one you just log in, that will be student board. So you can have an interaction with all of the participants. And the one I'm going to show you is the teacher's board. So here the teacher dashboard, so you can just see all the participants' response through the conference room. Okay, so there will be two boards. Okay, so now I'm going to let you see all of you lesson. So wait for me. Okay, so next one, let's try it out. So this is a stress check for my students. When I start the lesson, I always care about my students. So there's a saying, if when how do students know teachers care about them? When they know we care about them. So I will start with, oh, how are you feeling? So let me see. So if you can see that there's a purple line, so you can drag the purple line to the color that represents your feeling right now, right? So right. Oh, so I can see there are 23 participants response to the stretch check. Okay, now let's take a look. Okay, so let's see the teacher's dashboard. Wow! So you can see if you want, you can just look at. You can switch to the teacher's room, teacher's dashboard. That means the conference room. Through the conference room, you can see all the participants, all the students' response. So may I ask someone here? Uh, Aubrey, right? Audrey or Aubrey? Jason, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I can feel that. I see that you seem stressed a lot. Oh, there's someone here.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I just got I just landed in Taiwan this
Uh-huh.
morning after 3 flights,
Okay.
so I'm a little tired,
All right.
but but still excited.
Okay, great. And welcome to Taiwan. So hope
Oh,
you
thanks.
have a great trip and learning and teaching in Taiwan. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And there's one person right here. Okay. Anisha? Is it Anisha?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I can see that you feel so good. Yes.
um,
So have you been to Taiwan before?
yeah, I was here last year.
Okay, that's why you feel so less stressed than others. Is that
um,
right?
I don't know.
What's one thing you like about Taiwan? Can you share with others?
One thing
Mm-hmm.
I really like Taiwan's night markets.
Oh, me too. There are so many delicious food to
Yes,
explore. Yeah. All right. Thank you for give us the great suggestions to go to Taiwan's night market, the night market in Taiwan. All right. So thanks for all the responses. And we are going back to our lesson. So that's a kind of small talk. The small talk can help kids to feel relaxed and to prepare themselves the English lesson to use English. That's why I like to do the first thing. So I'd like to share with you. For today's outline, there will be what is text-based learning, why text-based learning, why do we use text-based learning, why it's so important. Kevin just mentioned a little bit. I'm going to say more. Okay, how to implement text-based learning and how can you apply text-based learning. So for the second session, we are going to put all of you in small groups so you can have some discussion. And for this to our seminar, I truly hope that we can prepare some text-based lessons together, so you can bring the wisdom we have together and back to your school, right? So the first one is, what is task-based learning, or sometimes we call it task-based learning and teaching, or sometimes we call it task-based language learning, TBLL. So there are probably three different ways to say it. Okay. So the first one, please type your responses. What comes to your mind when you hear the term task-based learning? So you can just go to the students' interaction boards, the link you just had, and you can type the words. So it will be 30 seconds for you to type. Just one word. You can just type one word. What comes to your mind when you hear the term TBL or TBLL or TBLT? So let's take a look. So now you can go to teacher's conference room, the conference room, and you can see all your responses. Also, you can see small projects, similar to a project. Interactive activity, yes, that's right. So interaction must be involved. And projects, meaningful, good job. So meaning is very important. The first criteria is meaning, okay? You can provide specific steps, sure. Complete, that's the key words to complete the task or the outcome. Students have to complete the task. Okay, practice some language skills. That's right. Activities, learning by doing, sure. Okay, so I can see focus on completing tasks rather than content. Good job. So who is this person? I think it's Adam, right? Adam, is that you? Hello.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, so where does the concept come from? That's a good answer.
I'm thinking about in language when you are basing it off of like successful communication rather than
Mm-hmm.
learning a grammar structure or a word as separate from communication, but using the content for a purpose.
Yes, that's right. Using the content for a purpose and to use language to communicate with others, not just some drawing practice. Good job. Okay, so on the meeting room, in the meeting room, we always encourage with the eight, number eight. Do you know what does that mean? Number eight in Chinese, eight means prosperous. So we always give others 888, number 8. So if you think the answer is great, you like the answer, you can type 888 to encourage your classmates. Okay. All right. So let's see. Wow, I see so many great answers right here, applicable. That's right. So we try to help students to apply language into the task, so it can be more authentic. Okay. Good job, everyone. All right. So, I'm going to go back to our lesson. So, if you want, you can come back with me for the lesson, for the uh, teacher's room, okay, conference room. So, defining task. But before we talk about task-based learning, we talk about task. Actually, according to the research, there is a little bit difference between activity and task. For activity, see, there's that's why I try to find out the Jane Willis, the scholar from 1996, the research. She mentions that a task is an activity where the target language is used by the learner for a communicative purpose or communicative goal in order to achieve an outcome. Okay, so for activity, sometimes we in when we teach English, we use a lot of activities, but the purpose of the activity is to help kids to gain the language itself. It probably doesn't have to be to use in a meaningful task. That's why we try to clarify the difference between activity and task. Okay, so now there's a great saying, a great definition. So let's watch the video and please think about the words. Choose some words to remember, some keywords, right?
The rules. TBLT focuses on activities which engage students in using language in diverse and creative ways. TBLT involves the 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. TBLT has the potential to recycle language knowledge, such as grammar and vocabulary. TBLT aligns in many ways with theoretical understandings of the processes of language learning. For example, current research into language learning emphasizes the importance of meaning-based language production. It emphasizes noticing, where learners using the language identify what it is they should be using and also what it is they still have to learn. And finally, it promotes the notion of languaging, which emphasizes the process of actively working out the language that's needed to complete a given language function. In defining tasks, there are a range of approaches have been developed. According to Willis 96, Tasks are activities where the target language is used by the learner for a communicative purpose in order to achieve an outcome. Another interesting area in recent research is the notion of how teachers use tasks. A study by the rules. TBL.
Okay, so when you heard what she said in the video, what are the some keywords you heard in the video? So you can type in the responses column here, the link you just had. So you can just type one or two words. It's a kind of task too. You listen to something, then you try to remember it, or you try to reflect on your thoughts and write it down, just the keywords down. Okay, now let's go to teacher's dashboard. So I can see some of the fast typers already provide some answers. Wow, great. Is Lindsay here? Lindsay, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yes. Okay. So why you choose meaning-based language production?
I think for me, the distinction was between learning just to like get through a lesson and just to like progress versus meaning-based language production where you're using language to achieve some sort of outcome.
Yes, that's right. We use English language, the language students probably have used or have learned before. So that's why he said recycle the students, what students have learned before and use it into a task and to complete a task, that means an outcome. Okay, thank you. So that's meaning based. That's a very important thing. Okay, meaning makes sense. So the language, the task all make sense to student lives. All right, so thank you for creative, right? Oh, recycling language knowledge. Thank you here. Okay, so meaningful, great job, research-based strategies. Okay, so engage students. That's right. So students can do something and also use at the same time use the language how they are learning. Okay, so now uh, since we all okay, let's come back here. Now, we all know a little bit about task-based language teaching and learning. So here's something that we can all focus on. So the task-based learning or teaching, language teaching, offers students opportunity to actively engage in communication. Okay, someone mentioned that, and develop students interlanguage. So students can use their own linguistic resources. That means they have learned before and use it in their task. Okay, so we try to recycle the language they have learned. And also it's a logical development of communicative language teaching. So it's a very important teaching method in English learning and teaching. Okay, so it's similar. Such a great language teaching or teaching methods for students who are in the second language, who is a second language learner or foreign language learner. All right, so let me give you an example. For example, this is the example from University of Cambridge, from the book. So from student A and B, they are going to talk about something. Okay, so as you can see, there's a shopping list for student B and shopping list for student A. And they are talking, so for this kind of task, it can be used if students have limited language proficiency. Can they do this too? How do you think? If you think they still can do it, do the task, the information gap I just show you, please type please type 1. If you think you cannot do it, type 0. You can type the answer in the chat box. What do you think? Oh, great. Wow, good job. You have confidence in students. Excellent. So just like if students have complex proficiency, then they probably can say, if students have limited proficiency, so they can just use, do you have X? No. RHs? Yes. Okay, so they can use the very simple language to convey or to communicate with each other. It's just yes and no, but there's still some communication in there. Like if your students have better or complex proficiency, then probably they can say, "Hi, good morning. I want some oranges." And the student A, can B can say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I did have some oranges yesterday, but we're sold out today. Do you want some X?" So for the same activity, information gap, no matter the students, no matter students have higher level, English level or lower English levels, they all can use what they have learned before the language. I mean the language part, the language proficiency, to use it and communicate in the task. Okay, so I'm just give you an example. Now let's take a look. Why text-based learning? Okay, so now we know what is text-based learning. Then why? Actually, for English teaching, I think some of you probably have heard PPP. So you have heard the method. Please type 1 in the chat box. PPP, the traditional English teaching. If you have ever heard that before, you can type 0. It's okay. All right. Some of you have heard PPP, okay? So for the traditional English teaching, we use PPP. So it's repeat and manipulate and reply the language itself, okay? But now we try to use TBL. Why is that? Let's take a look. For PPP, it's follow the method or the procedures, presentation, practice, and production. So, so that's why English teachers always use some activities to help students practice the language in the activities. Now we try to move from PPP to TPL. Just like we mentioned, the 4 criteria: meaning, communication, outcome, and language resources students have. Okay, so for TPL, there are 3 or 4 procedures: from pre-task to task cycle and language focus. So let's look at the recycle, the task cycle. So we, just like some of you mentioned, we try to engage students in the pre-task, so we can use some brainstorming, just like we did. We have some words, right? I asked you. So we collect some concept or some words that students have learned in their background knowledge or in their prior knowledge or in their lives. Then we put it into help them to collect all of information and put it into task. So there will be a task cycle presentation and then planning the task, and at last they are going to report the task. And they have then the last step is review. So they can try to have some corrective feedback. But the corrective feedback doesn't mean that they are wrong. We don't give the sense to students, "Oh, you do something wrong." No, it's not. We just try to help them to correct through the task process. So they recycle all the correct ways to say it to a language learning again. All right. So the rationale for using tasks is about meaningful communication. So as I demonstrate the example from Cambridge, University of Cambridge, I use information gap. I think most of you are familiar with the task, the kind of task. So students can exchange their opinions or their information through communication, okay? And it also automatization. That means we can help them to think on their own, to plan a task in a small group. So they can also develop their autonomous learning. And the last one we just mentioned, engagement. So we always use small groups or pair or some pairs group or small groups are better. Okay, so now let's see. Kevin just mentioned we have a new curriculum. So it starts at 2018. 2019. So the government, the MOE, starts a new curriculum, 12-year curriculum guideline-based education, and it focuses on competence-based education. So as you can see for the charts, there are three core competencies in the curriculum guidelines. So I've also downloaded the curriculum guidelines. So later on, I'm going to give you a link so you can take a look. See, the first one is spontaneity, just like we mentioned. Do you remember the one here? Let's go back a little bit. Automatization. So that means autonomous learning. So spontaneity, the first one. So the task-based learning aligns with curriculum guidelines and the core competence-based education. So the first one is spontaneity. Next one, communication. Yes, we mentioned that. And social participation. We also emphasize in engagement in TBL. So it aligns with each other very well. That's why we think task-based learning is very important for the new curriculum. And the last one is very important, real life. Okay, real life scenarios. All right, so how to implement task-based learning? We talk about a lot, what and why. And for the Simon Sinek, the New York bestseller, Simon Sinek said, why is in the golden circle, the three circles in the golden circle of everything. So if we know why, then we know we can help others to follow us because why is the motivation. So now you know why is very important. Why? Okay, so because it aligns with our new curriculum and it also gives students a lot of benefits learning English in an authentic or real world with the real world experiences. So how to implement text-based learning? Okay, so now let me ask you a question. You have ever implemented text-based learning in your teaching, or you have seen someone did it? Please raise your hand. If you cannot raise your hand on the screen, then you can type one too. Okay. Wow, some of them have done that before. Is Adam here? Adam? Yes.
Yes.
Hey, you want to
Hello.
share your experience with us? Then I will share mine.
Yeah, like one example of an activity I did was we
Yes.
pretended like we were in a clothing store
Mm-hmm.
and we had them role play buying clothing. And do you have pants? Yes, I do. How much is it? It's blah blah blah, and do the whole role play, and then they're using the language in a functional way.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Use language in a functional way. Okay, so thanks for sharing. Let's give Adam a big hand. That means I can type 8, 8888. That's right. 八 means 一路发 in Taiwan, that means prosperous. Okay, 8, the sound. 8 means prosperous. Okay, so now let me share my experiences here. So for how to implement, there are 4 task stages. Okay, I collect some research, just like some teacher says, research-based learning or strategy. So that's what I like to do. Before I say yes to Kevin to the task-based learning the topic, even though I have done that for several years, I still Google some researches to make sure that I'm on the right track. Okay, so there are 4 task stages. The first one is pre-task. So I've mentioned that we use some brainstorm to collect students or to recycle what students have learned before about the topic. And next one is task preparation. So we give students some online tasks or give them some reading or give them some questions or even checklists to help them understand, to make connection with the task they are going to do. And the last one is during task. So they are going to work in groups to work together to come up, just like we said, they are going to have to complete the task and have an outcome. Okay. And the last one will be feedback and question and answer. So today, the 2-hour seminar, we are going through, we are following the steps too, if you notice. All right. So the last one is going to be your turn to do a group task and have some sharing. All right. The first stage, pre-task stage, as you can see on the slide, we can brainstorming, help students brainstorming and make some list or some comparing ideas or share their experience. Okay, and I'm going to, of course, activating their language. Okay, what they have learned before, and I'm going to give you an example. Now I'm going to do example that I have done in my classroom. So the first question is, what is your favorite food? Please type in the response board, the student board. It's a quick question, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds. What's your favorite food in Taiwan? If you want, you can type the favorite food in Taiwan. Okay, let's take a look. All right, see? Wow, noodles and noodle soup, fruits. Oh, 饺子. Lexi? Is that Lexi? Lexi can type Chinese. Hi, Lexi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can type it a little bit.
Okay, so do you want to explain what does these two Chinese characters mean?
Yeah, sure. I don't know like individually, but jiaozi is like pot stickers, like fried dumplings.
Yes. So we call it dumplings. That's right. Okay. So and we also use it. We also eat it for Chinese New Year because that means some money. The shape of the 水饺, the dumplings, look like money for the patient, the ancient money. So we said, oh, that will make us more richer. Okay. Now, what else do we have? Oh, what does that mean? 蛋饼吗? Is that 蛋饼? Jason? Is this Jason from Jason?
Yes, that was supposed to be dumping.
蛋饼. Oh, okay. So why do you like 蛋饼?
I think it tastes good for brunch and breakfast. So
Ah, breakfast. That's right. Okay. So do you think 蛋饼 healthy or unhealthy?
I think it depends a little, I guess, on the ingredients, but for the most part, probably not that healthy.
Okay. Well, that's a great answer. Okay. So thank you, Jason. See, so I can also see some beef noodles. This 蛋豆花. Is that right? Kelsey?
Yes, 豆花.
Wow. So you have tasted 豆花 before.
Yes,
Why do you
it's
like it?
delicious.
Why do you like it?
I like that it's sweet but not too sweet, and the
Okay.
texture. I like the texture of it.
Okay. Do you think it's healthy or unhealthy?
I think it's pretty healthy. There's less sugar than maybe some other desserts I would normally eat. So,
Yes. And how about the ingredients of
like what
豆花?
I add in the douhua,
Yes.
like red beans, 绿豆. What else? The sweet potato or taro ball,
Yes.
peanuts
And
maybe.
it's made of the yellow
Oh,
beans, so it's really full of proteins. So I think it's healthy and it's less sugar in it, so it's very healthy. Thank you. Doughua is a great choice. Okay, can you see that, Susie and tacos? Wow, Susie. If I ask students a question, so what can I know? If I ask my students the question, what's your favorite food, and I ask them to distinguish or make the food they like into healthy and unhealthy categories. So what am I doing? Does anyone know what am I doing? I just give you an example. So what am I doing? Does anyone want to tell me? You can just raise your hand, or you can just turn on your microphone to say something. I'm trying to. Oh, thank you. That's great. Text-based learning. That's right. So I asked some questions to activate students' prior knowledge and what they know about the words, the vocabulary. I didn't just teach them the words. I asked them first, so I can collect some words they know and put into my next step, the step of teaching. Okay, so Thank you for mentioning that keyword, task-based learning. So, oh wow, so thank you for providing so many delicious food as your favorite food. I'm going to try some after the seminar. Okay, so now let's go back to our lesson here. So if you want, you can just look at your student board so you can see the handout too. So now I'm going to do an activity with you. I've done this with my students too. So the first one, if you think it's healthy for students in the real life, I mean in reality classroom, so we can just put thumbs up or thumbs down or thumb sideways to express their opinions. But here, I'd like you to type 0 if you think it's healthy, 0 and O. If you think it's unhealthy, and a cross or X. If you think it's hard to say, just like someone said, it depends. Okay, then you can just type 1. Okay, so healthy and O, unhealthy across an X, and it's hard to decide. It depends. Just type number 1. Okay, so let's see. The first one, tomato. You can type your answers. Cool, that's right. It's very healthy, right? So because I plant for the other task-based learning, we plant some potatoes in my schoolyard. So that's why I want to use potatoes. Okay, so it's very healthy. That's right. So kids put into healthy categories. Okay, next one, cake. Healthy or not healthy or unhealthy? And yeah, okay. But sometimes we need it. So I have searched some. I know someone the kind of food help us happy. We call it party food. Okay. And next one, soy milk. The city, Yonhe City in New Taipei, the city I live now, it's famous for its soy milk. So welcome to Yonhe City. It's very famous for its soy milk. Yes, it's full of proteins too, so it's healthy. All right. How about soft drinks? The kind of words are in their textbooks, so I want them to notice it's connected to their lives. That's true. Okay, the last one. How about noodles? It's healthy or unhealthy or hard to say? Yes, that's right. Okay, true. It depends, right? So my students also have their opinions too. They say if there are no vegetables in noodles, then it's not healthy. So if it's beef noodles, there are some meat and some vegetables, then they are healthy. My students say that too. So we provide some chances for students to communicate, to exchange their opinions, to broaden their horizons. Okay, so that's the one healthy, one healthy. So that will be my pre-task stage. And for task preparation, so we can allow students to have time to plan or provide a model or do some similar task and purchase some key linguistic items or collect their linguistic resources to help them to use their linguistic resources. So for me, I help students to work in color groups. So that's why I want to use photos for you to expand it for of you. So it's jigsaw activity. So originally kids in their home group, but when they want to talk something, so I separated into group of 4. So they can go to a different color corners and they can talk about some issues. For this activity, they are going to talk about the different category of the food pyramid. All right, so you can see it's on the blackboard, whiteboard. So there are some protein and there are some vegetables, fruits, and grains, the kind of food category. So they go to different color group to discuss the food. Which group does the food go to? And they go back to their home group to put it into a kind of food pyramid, the puzzle of food pyramid. So it's a kind of a task. They have to talk about it and decide it and put it into the food pyramid. Okay, so next one. So I prepare them to have the sense, to making the sense of the healthy food. there should be some in some food categories. All right. Now, or ingredients, or we say nutrition categories. And next one, during half stage, they are going to use in their small group to decide and introduce their favorite school lunch. Because in Taiwan, as you know, some of you have been Taiwan, right? Have been Taiwan before. Kids are most of the kids eat school lunch because probably their parents have no time to prepare lunch for them. Not like some of the countries, the parents always just bring the lunch box for them to go to school to eat, but we don't. So kids, we like kids' opinions about the school lunch. What kind of school lunch do they like the best? However, the nutrition should be balanced and healthy. So kids work in groups to discuss the balanced uh, school lunch. So this is what they do. So I provide some article for them, and if it's too difficult for jigsaw for differential instruction, I provide the simplified version of healthy food school for you, the article for students, so they can choose which version of the article they want. But they all serve the same goal. They understand healthy food from reading, and they can read together. Then next one, they are going to design their favorite healthy lunch, school lunch. So the diagram here, the chart here, used my plate. It's from, I think it's from the United States, the Secretary of Agriculture Department, the Tom Vilsack, if I pronounce it right. So now in Taiwan, all the textbooks, the kind of my plate diagram is on the textbook too. So as you can see, this is students, they use Jamboard and they put what they want onto the plate. So as you can see, for group two, they like watermelon. So it's a famous fruit in Taiwan, and also bananas too for group three. And they like shrimp, fried rice, because sometimes it's hard to eat in for school lunch. And as you can see, there's some pork knuckles. Do you know that when do Chinese eat pork knuckles? Does anyone know? There's a special time for Chinese to eat pork knuckles. Do you know? Do you know? Who knows it? It's a culture. It's a culture. It's a cultural idea. So, does anyone know? Okay. So let me tell you. Oh, great. So, Kay, do you want to share with others, with us? When do we eat? When do we eat pork knuckles?
Yeah, I was told that traditionally for Taiwanese on birthdays, people like to eat pork knuckles.
Yes. So when they have their birthday, so it's birthday time, they like to eat pork knuckles. So in the past, we don't eat cake. We eat pork knuckle to celebrate the birthday. Okay. So but now pork knuckle is great too because there are so many proteins. And I heard that it's good for skins too. So this is from students' point of view. What kind of favorite food they like for for school ideas, and it's also a balanced diet. Okay, so and the last one, the post-test stage. See, so for the post-test stage, we are going to students are going to report, and uh, they also can have some conscious about the task, and also have some conscious about the language they use, if it's right or wrong, and they can correct on their own, or they can ask some questions to correct their language use. And this is my students, so they are going to put, as you can see on the screen, so from food pyramid, the kind of traditional food pyramid, to my plate. So the diagram, I provided these two different diagrams for them, so they can understand. Oh, we now for healthy food, we have the concept from food pyramid to turn it to my plate, so they can have the awareness and bring it home. So they are going to have a kind of diary about what they eat for everyday food dinner. So some of my students even provide the kind of my plate, healthy plate, to their family. So it's not just stay in the classroom, the concept. It's also really implement in their lives, and they have an impact for their families too, or their friends. So one day, I sometimes my students act well. I will treat them some delicious food, and they say, "Oh, Miss Mia, don't buy cake. It's not healthy." So, wow, I feel so great. They have some awareness about healthy food. Okay, so see, so they can evaluate their own plan of the a healthy plate, and healthy food. All right. So at last, they can share what they have learned, and they can report in front of classes. So students also can give them some feedback too. Right. So let me give a review. So this is the very important task cycle in the task-based learning. Students do a task in small groups. As you can see, I provide jigsaw groups. I also provide some pairs work for them to report so they can have the chances to use the language as much as possible. And students just stay there. Students monitor what they have learned or what they are learning to support what they need for learning. And the last one is plan. So they have some plans, just like I did. I help them to plan their favorite healthy school lunch. So we can provide their ideas to school. Because once a month, we all have a kind of lunch meeting. So we can choose some students to contribute their ideas to the board, to the meeting board. So they really make some contribution in the real lives, okay? And they have some reports, right? So of course, when they use all the words, we also focus on language learning too. But it's not just a drilling practice. They really use what they have learned in the task. All right. So, um, so far, from what is task-based learning, to how, why, what we do it, what we use it, and how. My example. Does anyone have any questions so far? All right. So, because it's almost 2:20, so I'd like to give you a 10 minutes break. Then we are going to be back at 2:30, and we are going to work together to think about how can we plan the similar task-based learning activity, a task. Okay. So here I'm going to have a new prompt. So please type what you just learned from the first session, about 15 minutes. You can type what you have learned. So when we come back, we can have some small discussion and do our work practice. Is that okay? All right. So now, please come back. Do come back at 2:30 after you type your responses. All right. Okay. So I'm going to see you at 2:30. All right. See you later. See you. Take a break. Thank you. Okay. Wow, welcome back, everyone. Okay, if you are here, could you please give me a hand? That means raise your hand. That means you are back. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. If you can turn on your camera, that will be great. So, Kevin, is Kevin here? I think we can take a big photo, right? A big photo shot for the big group. Okay, so if it's convenient for your camera to turn on, then we can have a big photo. We can have a big photo together. All right. Thank you. So glad to see everyone's face on the screen.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, say cheese. One more. 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Wait a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
One, two, three, say cheese. Good job.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, welcome back. And I see a question right here. So, Raymond, right? Raymond, can you clarify your questions? What do you have? What doubts do you have in mind? Hi.
Oh, hi. No, I
Hi.
was just thank you very much for all of the things we've talked about for TBLT. So I was just
Thank you.
wondering if there are any things that new teachers should
Mm-hmm.
take caution when trying to implement TBLT.
Okay. So, let me adjust a little bit. And each, of course, for each method, teaching method have their pros and cons. I think that's for sure. But for students, that's why I give the examples of the language professions of the example from University of Oxford, Cambridge, because the kind of if I want to really pick one um, weakness of TBLT, that will be students really have limited English ability. Now because Taiwan is stepping forward to 2030, use English as a official language. So that's a bilingual policy for Taiwan. However, at this right moment, it's not an official language yet. So some of students may not have the language proficiency as we expect. So what we can do is that's why some of the participants, I see some of you, the great responses. Let me show you. I think some of the teachers mentioned that use ties pre-existing students' knowledge, such as opinions about things they already knew. So that's very important. So then students won't be stressed, or they won't be threatened by the kind of amount of English information or amount of learning information. So they won't feel so stressed or so anxious about learning English. So if I want to pick one thing, then that will be the things that student really, not every student has high level language proficiency. So you probably have to take care of their learning motivation first. So that's why we mentioned the next one. Someone mentioned that make it meaningful for students. So sometimes I use picture book, the similar authentic scenario for students to give them some empathy, to give them put themselves, help them to put, or help us, or help them to put themselves into other shoes, so they can feel like, oh, not everyone has the very high level English proficiency. So when we use the language, we don't need to be very proud of ourselves. We just use the tool to learn more things as a tool. So that's one. That's my answer. Okay. If you have any doubts or if you have any more questions, you are very welcome to mention it, to type into the chat box too. Okay. So we can have more. Thank you. All right. So before we take a break, there are some very excellent or very sincere responses right here. So such as importance of personalized lessons, and there's something from Lexi. Lexi, do you want to talk about what you wrote here?
Sure.
Thank
Um,
you.
So yeah, I think that TBL is like great for students to practice production in all ways of English language. And I think a lot of times in the
Mm-hmm.
classroom, like we get really hung up on like one specific thing, like whether it's reading or listening, especially things that are tailored to an exam. And I think LETs can be really focused on that. So I think TBL is great because there's a focus on
Mm-hmm.
practicing all of the parts of learning a language. So you have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And I think that it's more engaging for students, and they also get to learn like practical daily use English that they might actually use in their day-to-day life instead of something that they're just like going to memorize for a test and then quickly forget.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Especially we provide the language usage, or we help them to really communicate with others through the target language they don't use a lot in their daily life. To instead of just help them just memorize some languages. So we always say that when use it or lose it. If they just memorize a lot of things, they practice a lot. But when students step outside of the door of the classroom, they don't use it, then they lose it. So I just try to, that's why I think task-based learning is very important it's very useful or practical for students. At least when I try to implement for some years, and it works for my students, even the lower achievers. They feel excited about learning something new, not just about the language. They try to use what they have learned in other fields or other interdisciplinary and into language learning. So they can be a great contributor too. Not, they don't just sit become a guest in the classroom because of their low proficiency. They can also contribute some concept in their group discussion. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Thank you for the great uh, responses and scaffolding here. Okay, Michael says scaffolding. True. So it's very important for teachers to design the lesson suitable for students learning. Okay, so we have to scaffold their language proficiency and their concept sheet. If the task needs some concept, that's what I did. I provide some reading article, and I provide different versions of article, the simple one and the difficult one for students to choose. But they all have the same goal. They can read to learn, not just learn to read. In PPP, for PPT teaching methods, they just learn to read. We do a lot of language. I can say language arts learning, but for text-based learning, we still learn some languages. However, we provide some. We help them to read to learn too. Okay, so they will feel kids will feel like wow, language the English is a tool to learn something. All right, so let's go back to our handout right here. So thank you for all the feedback or the responses. And I try to make a checklist because, as I mentioned, there are some strategies. Um, just like for the 12 new year curriculum, this new 12-year curriculum-based education in Taiwan, we focus on competence-based education. And there are four principles for competence-based education. Does anyone know about the four principles? The very important four principles. It really aligns with task-based learning too. Does anyone know about four principles of competence-based? No, then I can mention the first one is I simplify. I make an acronym CARS. The first one C CARS. The CARS C is stands for contextualization. So that means the real life scenarios. We give them an authentic real life scenario, a context, a contextualization environment for them to use the task. The second one A is for action, so they can use it just like the one healthy diet, my plate. They can use it in their daily life, so they can make some actions. R means reintegrate, so they can collect what they have learned before and then recycle the language they have learned before to use in the task. The last one, strategies. So from what I've learned, from I've learned about task-based learning, they don't mention a lot of strategies. However, they also say when we do a task cycle, remember the charts? The task cycle, we provide some checklist or some planning for students to follow. So we model students' learning. So that's why I'm thinking. So that's why I read a lot of the researches and make the checklist for everyone here for today's seminar. So this is the 5 principle checklist. So later on, when we are in groups, you can design a lesson according to the checklist and to examine yourself with lessons. So now you can guess, you can type, look at the charts, and you can type what kind of do you want to don't just get rid of the words. So I use it as acronym micro. Micro? Do you see micro the word? Okay, let me show you. Oops, wait. Okay, I should show you this page. It's right here. Okay, so can you guess micro? What does micro stand for? You can guess any letter of it. MICRO. Micro is the checklist for designing text-based learning. So you can guess what does micro stand for? MICRO. Okay, now let's take a look. Oh, you are still typing? Micro, you can just use one, you can just guess one word, MICRO. Which one do you think you know it, that you can type it? Oh, I can see right here. Wow, Kelsey is great. Meaning, interaction. Good job. M stands for meaning. I stand for interaction. Great. Meaningful. Wonderful. Relevance. Wow. Kelsey, are you there? What do you mean relevance?
Like the task being relevant to students' lives or relevant language that they might be using.
Bingo, you're right about it. There's a word R stands for relevant or related to life, real life. That's great. And let's see. How about O? Oh, communication. Good job. This is from Julia. Great. Communication. Good. Great. So we are going to think about design the language. Okay, so we still provide some structure, language structure for students to use. That's great. Okay, so now let's take a look. Which one? Let me go back a little bit for you. So let's take a look right here. Okay, the first one, meaning. So when we design a lesson, you can ask yourself, or we can ask ourselves, is there a prime focus on meaning? Meaning in students' lives, okay? And next one, interest. I means interaction or interest. Does this activity engage students' interest, learners' interest, okay? And next one, completion or communication. So this should be a complete, the task should be the priority, okay? So they have a goal, a purpose, just like we mentioned, they have a goal, the communicative goal to complete the task. And the last one you just mentioned, real world related. Okay, so real world to related to their lives, what they like. Actually, it's connected with interest too. And the last one, outcome. It's just in terms of outcome, just like students have to report their plate. So they are going to say, oh, for such as they can ask the students, what would you like for school lunch? And the parents can say, we would like to have blah 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 something for a school lunch, and talk about why, the reason why, because so we can provide the sentence structure or the kind of a prompt, the sentence prompt for students to follow. Okay, so that's the outcome for students, and it involves the language to use, please. And so that's the micro checklist for all of you to think about, and hope you can, uh, we can all reflect on our lesson designing. All right. So for the next one, I'm going to give an example about the 6 types here. This is from Jane Willis, the book. Okay, 6 types. So there are listing, ordering, and sorting, just like I used. Students can classify the foods, the nutrition groups, okay, in small groups, and comparing, and problem solving, discovery, and debating. But this involves higher language proficiency. Probably it's good for junior high school students or high school students, right? So this is another example for task types. So students can list 5 most helpful inventions and the 5 most annoying inventions. what they know about the inventions, and they can make a list and explain their ideas and their opinions. So, which task types is it? So then students probably need to work together to think about the inventions they know, and they can write down their what they want to mention and their reasons. Why do they think this is the most helpful invention? So you can just type in the chat box. What kind of a task is it? Yes, let's see. Good job. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you so much. Okay, let's take a look. Yes, listing and discussion. So we provide a task for them to use the language and to think about what they have known, before, and they can use what they know into the, especially for social studies. This kind of task, the task I just mentioned, it's a kind of interdisciplinary learning. So uh, they probably can collect something they have learned in social studies, so they can use it into the task-based language learning in English classes. Okay, so this is the one, the other example for you to think about. Okay, so later we are going to, now it's 2:48, so we are going to have 20 minutes to discuss text-based learning design. So we are going to, Kevin is going to put all of you into groups of six, about group of six. So when you get the link, you are going to see the Google Slides as mine right here. So I will put the Google Slides from group 1 all the way to group 10. And for each group, there will be 2 slides. Of course, you can add more slides if you need. And right here, I've put all the procedures for you to think about. Pre-task, you can write what would you do, what do you want your student to do in the pre-task stage, and task preparation stage, and during task stage, and post-task stage. And remember, use micro, the 5 words micro. Please do remember, use the 5 words micro right here. Let me go back to you. The 5 words micro. Just reflect on your own design. And later you are going to report after 20 minutes when we come back to the big conference room. Each team can have a chance to talk about what you think about. Then it's kind of, we all prepare the lessons together. And all the Google Slides, you can see it as a kind of lesson preparation, the treasure of lesson preparation for today's seminar. Okay, so now, do you understand what we are going to do? If you understand, please raise your hand. Great job, everyone. So, Kevin, are you ready?
Give me one more second. One more minute.
Sure.
One more minute.
Okay, so I'm going to give everyone the first link. This is the link about 12-year curriculum in English version. So when you want to design a lesson, you can think about students' language level according to the curriculum guideline. So this is the first. I'm going to give you the first link since Kevin is preparing for the grouping. So this is the first link for 12-year curriculum guideline in English version, in English. So you can take a look as a reference. Okay, and the next one will be the Google Slides. So if you are in group, when you want to click on add in to the group, the small conference room, the group conference room, remember which group you are, and you can go to the group and type your name right here, your group members, and the lesson you want to have. And think about what you are going to, what you want your students to do or to learn. What's the task? What's the task they are going to do? What's the objectives? Then think about the 4 stages. It's good for you to reflect on some learning today. Okay?
I'm ready.
All right, great. So I'm going to give everyone the second link. So this link is about Google Slides. Okay, I see some of the participants has come into the Google Slide. Yes, I see the Google Slide. All right, so we are going to be, now it's 2:52, so we are going to have 15 minutes discussion and 5 minutes small break. How about that? So then we are going to be back after 20 minutes. Is that okay, Kevin?
So 20 minutes for the breakout room time.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. So if you finish earlier, you can take a break and then come back. Don't leave. They will push you come back to the big conference room. So please don't leave the conference room. All right?
Okay. Shall we? So I will click the open rooms for everybody.
Yes, 20 minutes. And I'm going to each group.
So Miss Lin, so if you want to go to either one of the rooms, you can tell me. I can move you there.
Okay, or you want to add me as a host so I can freely go into different rooms
Yeah,
if it's okay.
I'm trying, but it seems that I cannot really find any place that I can, you know, give you the uh, the permission to host the meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So can you just Mia link the account?
let me try
All right.
the presentation one.
Yes, Mia
I can,
link.
yeah, the only thing I can do is to like move you to like remove you from the call. That's the only
You can.
function that
Yeah, you
I
can.
have. Yeah. Or let me see. No, I think our account doesn't really allow us to do that. That's the
Okay, there is
problem.
some limit. All
Yeah.
right.
So I can move you to like any room that you want. It's totally okay
All
for
right.
me.
Because I cannot see the grouping. So, how many groups do we have now?
We have 6 groups.
6 groups.
Yeah.
So how many members
It's
in each
about
group?
around 7 people. Because I think if we have another group, the group will be very small. So I move them all to like make them even.
All right, sure, sure. So how about you just move me to the last one, the last group?
Last one. Okay.
Yeah, the seven, right? The seventh, the group seven.
Six, six.
Six. Okay, six.
Yeah, but I
Then
think
I'm going to raise my hand. When I want to leave, I'm going to raise my hand. Then you
okay,
have to move me to group five, from six
okay.
all the way to what?
Because I don't see like there's anyone in room 6, so maybe I will move you to room 5 first.
So there are just 5 groups.
I
Does
think
that mean that
it's 6, but I don't know why. It looks like 5
is
to
that
me.
is this your first time to?
Not my first time, but I don't know why. Like they are not here.
Really?
I mean the students are not here.
Okay, so it's okay. So just move
Yeah.
me to the last group,
Oh, I
which
move you
has
to
some participants.
yeah group 5. Are you there? No.
No, not yet.
Okay, maybe I see. Do you see the? Wait a second. Okay. Do you see the
Yes,
invitation? Okay.
yes, group five. So, how about let me see. So we are going to be back at two. I think that's two. Three. We are going to
We
be
have
back at.
we have 17 minutes left.
Okay, so that means each tea about 4 minutes. 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. 3
Okay,
minutes.
so after
Please.
3 minutes, please move me to
Okay.
back to group 4. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, welcome back. Great group discussion. I'm so honored to be in different groups, the 5 groups, and have some great discussion with all of you. That's a great chance for me as a teacher to talk with the students too. Oh, just like today, probably you are my student. So I like to, that's why task-based learning is important. It's very important to use small groups discussion so we can provide and support some ideas or language use for students, right? So it's important to put students in groups and see what they need. We support, we scaffold their learning, all right? As you can see on the slide, I put why and wonder. So later, because we have 5 groups, so we are going to start with group 1. So after group one share their ideas, just like students, after they share ideas, we need to provide some feedback. So if you think, wow, you have never thought about that, you think that's a great idea, you can put some words right here, use T right here and give them some positive comments, okay, positive or some encouragement. If you still have some wondering or some questions, you can put it right here. Just like as I mentioned, we don't say in test for any teaching, we don't just say students, oh, you are wrong. We try to provide the kind of corrective feedback. So we try avoid we try not to making students feel like they are wrong because uh, first of all it's a target language they have to learn, so they have to make a lot of trial and errors. But that doesn't mean they are wrong. That means they are improving, right? So through all errors, they are improve a little bit, a little bit. They are going to improve a lot. Okay, so please share your why and wonder as a feedback to your teammates, to the whole classmates today. All right. So let's start with group 1. So who want to share your ideas with us? I'm going to share the Google slide, so you don't need to move. Okay, I can control all the slides for all of you. So let's start with group 1. We have some group members right here.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So the lesson topic for our group, we selected Get to Know Me as a sort of a beginning of the year ice-breaking activity. And if you can take a look at the lesson objectives, we were sort of asking questions, we're learning some sort of sentence structures along the lines of like I am or I like and I don't like. So there's a lot of variables we can put in there, talking about food, pets, whether there's brothers or sisters. So there's so many different things. I'm going to start off with number 1, and then I'm going to pass on the, uh, the burden of speaking to my other team members. So number 1, pre-test. It's basically a little activity where we warm up by asking questions and introducing some of the keywords. And we have students stand up if it applies to them. So you can see some of the topics has to do with pets, family members, like favorite things, the age and names. So for example, it's like stand up if you are 11 years old, for example. And then we'll see some students stand up, some students may not stand up, and maybe some students may be curious as to whether another student is 5 years old or however many years old. It's very interesting. And whichever group member wants to speak next, you can go ahead.
Okay. So now we move to text preparation stage.
I can do this one.
Okay, thank you.
So we were, thinking of making some differentiated like bingo cards. And so we would explain, like kind of highlight some of the options on there. when we're explaining it to the class. But we would have a few options. So for students who preferred, we would have an option with everything filled in, maybe with some pictures and the English words there. And then we'd also have another option that was maybe a combination of some pre-filled in ones or a totally blank one, but that had options for students to write in things that they're interested in. So if they wanted to learn about if their classmates like basketball or tuna or I don't know, whatever comes to mind, that gives them some more room for creativity and just initiative. And we could also do for the like filled in ones, we could have a few or like a couple of versions of that circulating within the classroom too, to just kind of help the whole class experience and remember just even more vocabulary and to help make each interaction a little bit different too.
Okay. So how about during task?
So then, during the task, they'll be doing a lot of listening because they will have to listen to their classmates' responses when they ask them their questions, and also speaking, asking questions, informing those questions. And so, like we said, if the bingo card can either be left completely blank, in which case they can pick what question they want to ask and how difficult it is, or they can ask the ones that are already there. So listening, speaking, and some writing.
Okay. And the last stage?
Yeah, so then just to wrap up, after whatever amount of time we've given them is up, the students that have finished the bingo card will just verify them and make sure it's correct, and then we can kind of review all of that with the entire class to get the full range, and then give a reward to the students who completed it. And I think also one thing you could do if it's not just like one winner is to like just go over like many bingo cards. It doesn't have to just be like whoever finishes first.
Okay, thank you. Let's give team one a big hand. I can make the sound effects for them. Okay, so let's go back to the cards right here. So for next one, let me remind everyone. I think it's very important for just like we have to model, we have set a great example for our students. So after students report, we will use some strategy for students to give feedback. So if you feel comfortable, you can just give any team's feedback if you want, or because group one has finished reporting, so probably you can give feedback to group two. Then group five, you are the last one to report, so you can give group one some feedback. So because I think every team deserves some great feedback or some comments or some suggestions to move forward. Okay, and let me remind everyone here. For this Google slide, we can all have it because this is everybody's wisdom. So it's kind of a treasure for everyone to prepare the lesson together. Okay, so you are welcome to give every team any wows and wonders as a feedback. Okay, for group one, I am thinking about. So group five, please give them some wow or wonder feedback, and we are going to go back to see the feedback here. But for group one, I think bingo. Do you think kids like bingo? Yes, right. So I think kids do like bingo games, and this team is so great. They try to use a great task for students to use the language to communicate. So at last post task, they change their mind to a healthy word for students to complete the bingo cards. That will be great. And I'm thinking about there's one more encouragement. If students can collect the bingo cards information, the information on the bingo cards first, then they can work with their best friends. So they can collect some bingo cards information for their peers, and they can introduce their best friend. Because I know there are always some fast finishers in the classroom. So we can build up the first task-based learning activity or task to next level to next task. So if they finish the bingo card first, then they probably will have no something to do, but we can give them a follow-up activity, a follow-up task for them to think about. And for next lesson, they can be the first one. They can be the brainstormer. They can be the the one who gives others some ideas about how to introduce their best friend. Because this is a great lesson for the beginning of the class. How do you like it? Let me ask. Here is Shu Fan, right? Shu Fan, is that right?
Hi, yeah, I go by Su Feng, or my Chinese name is Xue Fang.
Hi,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
hi, Shu Fan. How do you like the idea?
yeah, I like the idea. I think it allows for like more communication, and also for students who might need extra support too. I'm thinking that could also, like, either if they're more shy or also their English ability, I think it would be really helpful to be able to have like each other's support as well, and then share.
Okay, that will be great. Thank you, Shufan. Thanks for your comments. Okay, now, by the way, I am going to say that I'm going to put the big photos of ours onto the slide. So that means this is all of us work together. This is our treasure. This is our baby for this afternoon. We kind of have some great ideas together. Okay, so later I'm going to put our big shot, the photos onto the Google slide, so everyone can have the big shot, the big photo together. All right. Now let's move on to group two. Group two. There are Helen, Kimberly, Jocelyn, Jamie, and Tara. They're going to talk about weather. Uh, does Kimberly can be the reporter?
Okay, yeah, I can be the reporter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our lesson topic is weather, and the objective is that students will be able to describe the weather in different countries. And how we're going to do the lesson is that for the pre-task, we'll have the students watch different weather videos from different countries. We'll also ask them what kind of weather they like or prefer and why that is. We'll also have the students check on what the current weather outside is to prepare for the next task. During the next task, we'll have them learn vocabulary and then prepare like little weather reports in small groups. And then we will model that from the pre-task based on what it is currently is outside. And then during the task, we'll have each group present the short weather reports from their different countries that they decided on. And then for the post-task, we'll check in and we'll expand their learning by asking follow-up questions like which country would you like to visit, and is it because of the weather, and are there any other types of weather that you know that we didn't go over? And that is how we would wrap up the lesson.
Okay, thank you for teachers sharing. And sorry about it, I just said the wrong sentence. The Kimberly kid. See, sometimes I make the mistakes too. So I'm thinking about that. That's a great moment that I can share with my students, because we are not the native speakers, so we know it's right or wrong, but sometimes it just come out to the mouth. So that's a great opportunity. That's why when students prepare the task-based learning, they practice. I like this team's idea. They practice the reports in small groups. So they are trying to use the language, and teachers can give them some support and correctness in the small group, so they will feel comfortable. Students will, especially students in Taiwan, they will feel comfortable to prepare the lessons, language, and to report in front of others. So thank you for listening ideas about prepare them in the small groups. And they also provide some great ideas, the big ideas about the world map, help students report the weather. And they also can connect with the ideas with some learning in social studies, because they are learning the international countries in social studies. So that would be so great. Okay, thanks for listening, designing. And how about group one? Do you want to give them some wow and wonder? Because group one has finished their reporting. So how about group one? Do you want to give them some wow and wonder for group one? some wow and wonder from group 1. Then we can raise the kind of interaction among students, not just from teachers, but also from students. Group 1, Jefferson, do you have any comments or do you have any thing you want to say about group 2's design? Or you can encourage them. Is Jason here?
Yes, I like their sort of post activity for part 4. Yes, okay. The sort of check-in and expanded learning. I just thought it was a nice way to like close the lesson and also wrap it up in a way where the students don't just sort of end the task and then just decide to move on to something else and never think about what they had just talked about and spent time on.
Okay, that would be so great. Thank you. Thanks for Jason's comment. Okay, and let me remind of you for don't forget about that. For task preparation, we can also provide some of the videos, the authentic videos for students, just like this one I'm showing you.
Whether carrying a brown bag from home, picking up a tray from the lunch person, or serving up the food themselves, lunchtime at school can be one of the most important parts of a child's day.
Their follow-up
Let's
activity
take a
is
look
about
at
the
Kids Around the World Eat for Lunch.
Kids on the World for their school lunch
French students can
from
expect
different
up to a
countries.
4-course meal at lunch. They begin with a salad of fresh veg, followed by quality protein like salmon with a side of roasted broccoli. They wouldn't be French without a course of soft cheeses, jam, and fresh bread. And kids finish with a sweet confection like marzipan before heading back to class.
See? So, because when I went to into groups conference room, the rooms, they talk about they want students to report the weather around the countries, different countries. So I'm thinking about what I've done before. After students have designed their plate, healthy diet for their plate, I provide the broadened views about the healthy lunch, school lunch from different countries. So that can become a connection among the between the tasks. All right. So thank you for Team 2's ideas. See, so we always connect each different ideas from become a bigger idea. That's the part of task sharing is about. Okay, next one. How about group 3? Let's move on to group 3.
Cool. So group 3, hello.
Hello.
The activity that we picked is for ordering food at a restaurant. And like the task involved is the ordering of the food and also the creation of a menu per student. And this is actually an activity that I did at my school while the kids were learning the words for different foods. So
okay.
Yeah. Pre-task, it's just learning, because like our textbook unit, I don't know if other counties use the same textbook as Yuan, but they had words like hamburger, soup, French fries, like all of those American basics, as well as some international foods like satay. And we just made sure that they knew what all the words meant and how to write them down and like making them really familiar with them. And then using like vocabulary activities and stuff to make sure that they knew them, and then help the kids write down the menus, and they got to express themselves and their own creativity and picking their own restaurant names. And then also they were allowed to add more food if they knew how to write it. So it was an opportunity for them to kind of like show how much they know, or if there's a food that they wanted to add that they didn't know, they could just ask us. And like that way they could be like, you know, curious and learn more. And if anyone else wants to take over the talk, just feel free to chime in. Group 3 could also keep going. Pause for chiming in. Okay, I'll keep going. And then during the task, oh, Alden, do you want to take over?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So basically, during the task, we wanted the students to really, get creative with the activity. And so, we're keeping logs of what they ate. We're spending fake money until it's all gone. We're building a little ecosystem here for the students to really play around with. And then by the end of it, we're trying to balance competition and collaboration. We're really trying to have the students maybe the second sentence should be first, but first, they say one thing that's really good about everyone's restaurant, really build a positive atmosphere in the classroom. And then we can get into the sort of more competitive side of the post-task, which is having the students decide which restaurant they want to eat at. If it was a real thing, where would they be going every night? Food for thought, literally.
All right. Wow. Is out? Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks for group 3 sharing. Okay, so the idea, they have their own restaurants. Wow, that's cool. So how about let's invite team 2, group 2, the members of group 2 to give group 3 some comments or some encouragement. Group 2, does anyone, Helen, Kimberly, Jocelyn, Jamie, Tara, does anyone want to give group 3 some feedback? How about Helen? Is Helen here? Helen?
Yeah. Hi,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Loud and clear.
So, first of all, I really liked Group 3's introduction slide. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And then I also liked, specifically, I thought it was funny bringing up the hamburger soup, what's talked about in the textbooks in Elon, because they're also used in our textbooks. And I think doing something like this that allows them to see like exactly what is written in the textbook translated into something that they will like actively for sure use in their own time, like the menus, the pictures, the prices. I think this is like a surefire thing that they can use to connect.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for Helen's suggestions and comments and encouragement too. That's a great feedback. So as you can see, for task preparation, group 3 think about to help students make the menus. So for this task preparation, what kind of authenticity we can provide for students? Does anyone have an idea? What kind of authenticity, the kind of things that we can provide students to make, so they have better idea about how to make a authentic menu. I think yes, I think someone will say, okay, great. Please say something. Yes, Adam. Is that Adam?
Yes? Yeah, Alden.
Alden,
I have a couple of simple menus with just a few items from Long Island. Something like that could be good because it's like a pretty pure example. It's got pictures, just simple, words on it.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. See, so when I traveled in different countries or when I studied in the States, I always collect some menu from different restaurants. So it become a great authenticity, the realia for students to see, to learn. So we put some models. We really make a great model for students. They have the clear concept about how to make it. Sometimes students cannot complete the task, not because they don't want, not because of willingness. It's because they don't know how. That's why we are here. That's why we are here to help them, to support students' learning. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you. Great idea. Okay. So now let's move on to group 4. Okay. Julia, right? Here.
Yes. Yeah, it's Julia. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So our group decided to do a lesson on thank you cards, and we thought we could use Thanksgiving as the holiday to sort of use that holiday as the basis for teaching them how to make thank you cards. So our learning objective was that they would be able to choose a person and write a letter with a greeting, a sentence expressing thanks, and a closing remark. So for pre-task, we thought it would show or explain why you want to express thanks. So in case of like Thanksgiving, you explain like a little bit about the culture and tradition surrounding Thanksgiving, and why you might say thank you, what you might say thank you for, depending on which person you're addressing. And we could show a video or even perform a skit to demonstrate like what you might thank someone for. Does anyone want to pop in to explain task preparation?
Sure, I could help with task preparation.
Okay.
So for task preparation, we would be introducing the students to vocabulary words and sentences that they may use for crafting their own letters. And so we would demonstrate sentences that they can write, like, Dear Mom, I am thankful for you cooking breakfast every morning for me. And also that could be a bit difficult, so we could also just give them a template, just a visual representation of exactly what a letter will look like, with just empty slots for them to fill in, for them to have a better sense of exactly how to craft this letter. As we discuss in our group, sometimes students, even if you give them the sentences and the vocabulary, sometimes they can still confuse the sentence order, or they can confuse, like, dear, and then they'd write their name, or sincerely, and then they'd write their mom or whose ever name. And so we thought it'd be even better to give them a visual representation of exactly what we wanted them to write. And then moving on to Doring.
I can do the next one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so for during the task, the teacher will act as a floater. So they walk around the classroom and make sure that students are not only on task, but they're able to complete the assignment. So if students need assistance, they can ask the teacher as they walk by, or students can ask questions. And even with seeing the age group of the students you're working with, you could have the students using technology to look up words that they want to use, or based off of availability in your school, the teacher can also act as someone almost like a dictionary. So what exactly do you want to say, and the teacher can help with that. And then, did someone want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I can do post-task. Basically, afterwards, students will exchange their letters with, or their finished cards with either each other, or maybe they give it to the parent that they're writing to, or the teacher that they're writing to. And then, because this task is like mostly focused on writing ability, and possibly post-task, you could incorporate a speaking activity where they maybe take a video of themselves reading their letter, or read it to the person that it's addressed to, something like that. So you're touching on some other linguistic skills.
Wow, great. Thank you for team for sharing. Wow, they really involves the task really involves listening, reading, writing, and speaking. When you demonstrate the writing part, I'm also thinking about, we can record what students want to be thankful for into a video, and we can put into edit it as a great video for all the families or their friends or school system or all the school members. So great. Kira thinks the same. Okay, Kira have the same mind. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for team for sharing. Does team 3 members from team 3 has any suggestions or encouragement? Give them some encouragement. Here, team 3. Yeah. Oops.
I can go. Yeah, I like the idea of thank you cards, as it like connects to like the community and other people, so they're using it like in a realistic way, that if they give it to their parents or their other teachers, those other people might be touched, and so it's a meaningful task, like on a like relationship level too.
Yes. And some of the schools, just like my school, we always have the appreciation day at the end of the school year. So we can cultivate students' appreciation towards others, and especially at the end of the school semester. There is a season for Thanksgiving Day. So it's a great season for students to express their thankfulness. Okay, thank you. So this is a great, meaningful lesson. And for the next one, group 5, please. Group 5, does anyone want to share your ideas? Mike? Roman? Hello?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi. Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Lexi, or Lexia on the slide. So our idea was how to eat xiaolong bao, and it's meant to be the students work on it in class, and it's like they're making a guide for incoming teachers or people coming to visit the island. So pre-task, we're focusing on kind of opening up their idea to what kind of buns do you like? So getting them thinking abstractly about food and all the different types of things that they eat on a daily basis, what their favorite things are. So students can volunteer their answers, and then hopefully we can try to send that towards thinking exclusively about xiaolong bao and thinking about how some people come here and they don't know how to eat those things. So task prep is, we have two different or a few different ways to focus on it. We're thinking about pre-teaching vocabulary, so things like utensils you use, especially applying the more English-centered words like spoon, chopsticks, bowl, and also getting deeper into the differences between drink and eat, because in Chinese, it's normal to say you drink soup instead of eating it. So combining that, and also things like pick up, grab. During the task, we were wanting to focus more on like a visual representation. So we would think that after the students have kind of explored what they like, they know how to eat it, they can have two separate groups. One group that focuses exclusively on teaching how to pick up and properly hold, and one group that shows how to eat. And at the end, we would have all the students kind of show their favorite way to eat it, because some people eat them whole, some people eat them more carefully to let the steam out. And the post task will be watching the video, kind of taking it in, everyone speaking, and if someone is willing, a foreigner friend that they might find, or an ETA or ETF, they could try to follow the step-by-step guide.
Okay, thank you for group 5 sharing. This is a great, this is a kind of intercultural lessons, and it's very popular now. So it's students, and there are so many, we just talk about it in the group. There are so many buns in the Chinese stores, in Taiwan stores. So probably kids can bring some of them to the, it's very easy to buy. So if it's possible, students also can bring some of them to the school, and they can have a great bun party after the class, after the, post task, so they can talk about it. Okay, that's a real wonderful event at the end of the ETF program or something. All right. So thank you for all the wonderful ideas. And we don't have group 6. So at the end of this, before we end this seminar, I'd like to mention that it's very important to put something into action. So if it's possible, now there are something we can, there are some great books about text-based language teaching. That's why I learned from all the books, great books. And by the way, there's one thing I'd like you to, not a quiz, okay? I prepared a quiz, but it's just very simple. People say that there's great quotes, knowledge is power. However, put it into action, it's real power. So if we have a lot of knowledge, but we don't use it, then we lose it, and it's not power at all. So at the end of the semester, at the end of the seminar, please go to Pear Deck and write down, thanks for being the influencer in Taiwan for students. So at the end of the, can you just type one thing you are going to do for the new ETA program, because it's going to start, right? So one thing you are going to put into action from today's seminar. Give yourself the contract. What you are going to do, really put into action. Yes. Oh, sorry. And Kevin, that is all for today's this afternoon seminar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Lin, and please leave your plan for the year for Miss Lin. Also, you can keep it as your note. So thank you all, and thank you, Miss Lin, for your wonderful talk with our ETA and ETFs. So I think this is the time for the ETF to do their to meet their coordinator. So if you need to meet your coordinator, you can go to the other room that you're going to use. And for the rest of you, if you're done, and I think this is the end of today's workshop. See you all very soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. So I think I can leave, right?
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
yeah.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
I'll contact you
Enjoy
later.
teaching.
Thank
Enjoy
you. Thank
teaching.
you.
Bye-bye.